But when we say inspire a generation, who's meant to do the job? It's not MTV, because they're not doing the job. It's you guys, the teachers, the parents, the leaders, the mentors, the educators. They're the ones doing the job. But the question is, who's inspiring them? What stage do you want to be in? I am in I can mode. Everybody say I can mode.
I can mode.
No matter what is going on, and life has got the noose around your neck, feel free to say to the world, I am.
Most of our sanctions are retributive. In fact, most of our behaviour policies are written in that fashion too. You do this, okay, we'll slap you with that. And that works up to a point, but what about the kid who is not actually interested in your sanctions? It assumes that students understand, but quite often, particularly with students who are less communicative, understanding is quite difficult.
Okay, so this one, it's a feedback website. So for teachers who want to get live feedback from their children, in this case it's going to be you lots, I'm afraid, so keep it quick please. And there are other websites out there which are similar to this. One is called Socrative, which is a very good website which you may enjoy. But the reason why I like this one is because you can actually incorporate drawings into it as well.
It's quite easy to forget what the purpose of feedback is. It's all very much what went well, even better if, quickly get it in the students' books. But we've got to remember why we're doing it. And it's actually to improve their grades and to improve their learning. So the lessons learned were that you need to have brief feedback like this speech. You need to give them time like this speech doesn't have. I think things that require bravery are different for different people. For me, the ethos building, the talking to strangers, the getting on with people, the smiling, the being friendly to everyone, that doesn't require me to be particularly brave because that's me. Before the days of Twitter, I spoke to people in toilet queues and pubs, I spoke to people at festivals that I didn't know. That's me. That part of it, that's brave for some people, and I think we have to recognise that. Check your facts. If you're not a very left-brain thinker, get a left-brain thinker on your team to check your facts. Plan. And then always, always, always keep it all about the children in your organisation. Nobody can argue with, this is going to keep our children safe, this is going to help our children learn better, this is going to make our children happier.
I'm going to start off with saying just really simply, leave the wheel alone. It's not about reinventing what lots of other people already do. I want to do something slightly different this year because I always get drowned with 200 odd bits of paper that is really difficult to keep hold of. What I'm going to do this year is I'm not going to give any paper, I'm just going to give them a link. And what's really good about this is I can tailor the form that they have access to depending on the pathway that we've constructed for them. So the students will be able to log in, put their options. Can you pick a humanity because we're compelled to thanks to that form? Unfortunately.
History.
Why? And the other thing as well with this, we've all had forms when you do this that students will pick 3 or 4 subjects or all the ones they want to do, and you said no, you can only pick one. You can set this up where they can only tick one box and they can only do 1 or 2 things. They only press submit and that's it, that's their options.
First of all, we thought, what do we have to solve? I agree. Earlier we were hearing about feedback and the importance of feedback and the value of feedback, and we've got all of this research behind us telling us that feedback matters. But we also know that to give feedback effectively under the conditions that it works, which means giving it time and making it relevant to the needs of the students and time and in the place while they're doing the learning, not afterwards. And this is where it comes to giving the feedback before the race is run. It's very difficult to do because it feels a lot like this when you're doing it. And the issue for us wasn't just It's like a pantomime. Another situation. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the advice you've given me. I've taken it on board. A student has never said that to me before. It's more of that feedback.
We live in a world where we're consumed by the internet. We can't get away with it. Everything is more or less connected. And what we're seeing is there's a huge trend happening with devices, hardware devices, in every aspect of our life, whether it's at home, whether it's within the car. And today I just want to show you some innovative products that are out there that you can kind of bring into the classroom for between $50 and $150 and get kids really, really excited.
My apology is that I don't think the educational research community has served actual people teaching children in the classroom very well in the past. I don't think very much of what the research community has produced has been useful to anybody with less than sort of 6 months off and a PhD. And I think that's an indictment.
And it really made me think, how do we approach young people? I don't like things like calling young people disadvantaged. I don't like terms like social mobility. I think it's a load of... I don't really like those terms, okay? For those of you who don't know what your right hand is, it's this one. Okay? So your right hand out in front of you, do your left hand, so if you're tweeting, so you've got to put it down, okay? So right and left hand, shake it like a puppy. Okay, alright, so alright. Right hand up, left hand up. Smells good in here, keep it up, alright, okay? Form a circle with your right hand, but keep shaking your left hand. Okay? This way, people, this way, okay? Alright, now what I want you to do is slowly take your right hand and I want you to put it on your chin. Now, how many have it on your cheek, even though I said your chin? Okay, fantastic, okay? Some of you thought you were smart and you did that, like I couldn't see you, okay? It's a fantastic exercise. Whenever I'm working with young people, to demonstrate that people listen more to what you do than what you say.
So I thought, well, how can I encourage my pupils to write in my lessons rather than just try and blow things up? And I decided to start writing letters, and this came from some research I was reading for my MA, where a group of researchers asked some nursing students to write a letter to a friend at the end of their course explaining what they'd learned. And so I thought, well, that's quite a neat idea, quite a nice way to assess what had been learned at the end of the topic.
I'm halfway through a book at the moment, which is going to sell absolutely nothing because the tagline on it at the back says, if you only buy one book on metacognitive strategies for the last 10 minutes of the lesson this year, then make it this one. A word on meta, my favourite definition of meta is it's an abstraction off of itself, which I think is beautifully poetic. And it comes from a Greek preposition about. So a meta-analysis is an analysis of an analysis. Meta-art, there's a whole genre called meta-art, art about art, and there's a whole load of dweebs in America that make series and series of meta-comics. One might reasonably argue that my book is meta-nothing.
This is part of what I'm talking about, is taking the lid off learning. Learning without limits. It's a sort of philosophy about teaching and learning where we're saying what's the most extreme thing a child can do. And I do think that in school, a lot of the time, kids have a lid put on what they want to do. Because teachers tell them what to do, and they do that, and that's the limit. And what I'm trying to do is get kids to find their true kind of destiny and what they can achieve.
Anybody's forcing me to. So I'll tell you quickly. I think if some people were at Martin's last Teach Me, you might have heard me talk about this. It's an event that I'm helping organise for a non-profit organisation called Startup Weekend. It's basically an event that you can register for and come along. It's Friday to Sunday evening, and it is just Googleable. It's going to happen on the 25th of January next year.
Right, in SEN, behaviour is viewed as a form of communication. Behaviour communicates a message, so the question is, what?
Right. Often, even in a mainstream setting, the people is viewed as being bad or naughty. I know everybody's told you shouldn't, but often they are.
Okay, behaviour in SEN. Pupils are never naughty. It's a word that's banned in SEN schools. You never use it.
Tonight, just looking at you, half of you are sat on Twitter right now. A lot of you found out about tonight through Twitter, and the graph suggested that actually amongst the 13 students, most of them said they spent 3 to 4 hours online a day, but actually there was a significant percentage that said they spent over 7 hours a day online. And actually there was 2 of them that refused to answer because they felt actually they were pretty much online 24/7. But actually a lot of them admitted that they were glued to their phone. And when I asked them what was their first point of contact with the internet, most of them actually said their mobile phone. Okay.
Hello, my name's Stephen Lockyer, by the way. I'm Mr. Lockyer, and my presentation is basically everyone's an expert at something. Do we believe this? Yes. If you're on Twitter at all, or even attend a teach meet, you'll leave each session with a sense of guilt that there are thousands of things out there that you should be using and you're not. And that your lessons could be much more exciting with things jumping out of screens and they're not. And it leaves you with a deprived sense of guilt and eventually failure and loss. I'm going to sit down.